is the Ozaki Press. Bill Shannon IV and Kristen Helbig-Ziem are the winners of that. They are not able to be here today, but we should have a round of applause just for them. It's just great. Most important thing I think journalism can do is to shine lights in dark places, and they always say afflict the comfortable and comfort the afflicted, and that's a big part of what journalism does. And so it's just great to see that actually happening and being done so well. So now back to the final two rounds of the state finals. For rounds, I'm going to turn this over to Eve, I think, to take this over. There's a few little interesting developments.
As you all know, 6 teams will be moving forward into rounds 3 and 4. We have 5 who will definitely be moving forward. They are Platteville, West Bend Team 1, Middleton, Beloit Turner, and Belleville. And just for the suspense to continue building, we have a tiebreaker, and I would like to invite the following 2 teams, to come up. West Bend Team number 2 and Slinger Team number 2. Would you please come? West Bend Team number 2, Slinger, Team number 2. And Representative Subeck will give the information for that. At the conclusion of this round, assuming there is not another tie, we will then ask everyone to return to who is going to be competing in rounds 3 and 4, to return to the waiting area. All of the rest of you are welcome to remain, and thank you all for being here today.
All right. Well, congratulations to those who know that you're advancing. And we are very excited to have a tiebreaker. This is when I wish I had some Jeopardy theme music to play, because that would make it more fun. But I do want to just run through how the tiebreaker works. The tiebreaker is a single question. If nobody correctly answers the single question, we move on to another question until somebody has answered a question correctly. In this round, only the captain can buzz in an answer. So just for our clarification, who are the captains on each team? It's A1 and B2. Okay. So you should be the only ones to buzz in. You are able to confer with your teammates, but only before you've buzzed in. So if you all want to move your seating to be closer to your captain, that's acceptable. But just note, as soon as the captain buzzes in, we're calling on them, and you are not allowed to confer once that buzzer has actually gone off. Any questions? And then and it is the team captain who needs to buzz and the team captain who needs to give the answer. Are there any questions about how the tiebreaker works? Yes, or clarification?
If the first question is answered incorrectly, does the next group get to still huddle before they hit the buzzer? Can they still huddle ahead of time?
Oh, we have not actually been asked that question before. Eve, did you write the rules? Do you have an answer?
They get 10 seconds, right?
Because they get 10 seconds to buzz in, I suppose, yes, they should. The way the rules read, I would say yes, they could. So if just to be clear about that, if somebody answers wrong, we read the question for the other team, you are allowed to huddle as long as you buzz in before the end of the 10-second timed period. And with that, I will go ahead and read our tiebreaker question. Good luck to both of you. The tiebreaker question is, how many stripes are on the American flag? And
West Bend 2.
13 stripes on the American flag. They symbolize the original 13 colonies. There are 50 stars, which symbolize the states.
You're good. You got it. So the rest of the question was, what do they represent? And you did tell us what they represent and provided a little additional information too. So with that, the A team, which is, help me out with which school you are?
Slinger.
West Bend 2 will be advancing. I want to say before all the teams start disappearing though, everybody here did a phenomenal job. Every time I do this, I am just in awe of the talent of everybody here. So be proud of yourselves, whether you're advancing or not. The fact that you made it to the finals is a phenomenal accomplishment. So proud of everybody here. And with that, I think there will be some instructions for the finals, and we'll do a quick round of applause for everybody first.
Congratulations, everybody, and everybody that is going to be competing, congrats as well to advancing to the state. As new this year, you have a clean slate. Everybody's at 0 to start for rounds 3 and 4, and the matchups for round 3 and 4 were randomly drawn over lunch hour. I had witnesses. They were in an envelope, and we just drew them out of the envelope. So for round 3, well, I didn't have a hat. I had an envelope. So next year I'll have to have the Civics game hat from the swag store. So round 3 matchups. Matchup 1 will be Middleton versus Platteville. West Bend number 1 versus Beloit Turner for matchup 2. And then matchup 3 will be West Bend 2 versus Belleville. And then round 4, the same thing was randomly assigned. Beloit versus West Bend 2. Platteville versus West Bend number 1. And then Middleton versus Belleville. So, Middleton, come up here, your team A, and Platteville, your team B. And the other 4 teams, please head back to your waiting room, sequester room, whatever it is called. And yes, hand over the phones, devices, tablets, computers, all of that stuff. So, that is it. Best of luck, everybody.
It'll be fun.
Round 4 will be Beloit versus West Bend 2. Platteville versus West Bend 1.
He's gonna be fast on the buzzer. Hey, good luck, guys. Hey, you too. Good luck. Okay, love you.
Just tell me you love
Good luck.
I would say I love you.
That was my fault. That was my fault.
All right, you're out of here. Yeah, you're out.
Jeez.
You're out.
My bad. That was scary.
Middleton, Platteville, West Bend 1, Beloit Turner, West Bend 2, Belleville.
And then, okay.
I get the easy part. I don't have to know which teams you are. You're just A and B to me. All right, and we need to reset the buzzers because somebody pushed one.
My apologies.
He's fired.
Oh, God, Platteville.
All right. Well, congratulations to all of you on making it to round 3. Without any further ado, we will go ahead and get started. So starting with question 1, what is the minimum number of signatures required for a state Senate candidate to appear on the ballot?
Platteville 4.
1,000.
That is incorrect. What is the minimum number of signatures required for a state Senate candidate to appear on the ballot?
Middleton, 4.
10,000.
That is also incorrect. That would be a heavy lift for a state Senate candidate. So to run for state Senate, you need 400 signatures to get onto the ballot. No point is awarded in round 1. Question 2. How many appeals court districts?
Middleton, 4.
4.
That is correct. There are 4 appeals court districts located in Wisconsin, and they are headquartered in Madison, Milwaukee, Waukesha, and Wausau. The point goes to Team A. Question 3. What is the oldest form of local government in Wisconsin?
Middleton, 3.
Tribal council.
That is incorrect. Need to hit it.
Yep.
What is the oldest?
Platteville, 1.
Town.
That is also incorrect. County government is actually the oldest form of local government in Wisconsin. Can I ask something? Did I say the word local the first time I read it? Okay. I just wanted to confirm. Suddenly I didn't remember saying it. If I didn't, it could have changed the meaning. So sorry about that. So no point is awarded on question 3. Question 4. Who is the current United States Secretary of State?
Platteville, 3.
Marco Rubio.
That is correct. The point goes to Team B. Question 5. Name 3 interstate highways in Wisconsin.
Middleton, 4.
I-94, I-90, and I-30.
That is incorrect. Name 3 interstate highways.
Platteville, 1.
I-90, I-15, and I-14.
That is also incorrect, but always good to guess some numbers. It is I-90, I-94, I-41, and I-39. So got some right answers, but not 3 at once. All right, so no point is awarded on question 5. Question 6. The Declaration of Independence includes a list of grievances against which historical figure?
Platteville, 1.
King George III.
That is correct. The point goes to Team B. Question 7. Name the 2 living former U.S. senators from Wisconsin.
Platteville, 2.
Ross Feingold and Barry Goldwater.
That is incorrect. Name the 2 living former U.S. senators from Wisconsin.
Middleton, 4.
Russ Feingold and Ron Kind.
Ron Kind never served in Senate. He was a congressman, but of course, as Middletonians, you would have been in big trouble if you didn't get Russ Feingold. The other one is Bob Caston. No point is awarded on question 7. Question 8. What branch of the Wisconsin legislature is known as the lower house?
Platteville, 1.
The Assembly.
That is correct. The point goes to Team B, and I just want you to know I take exception to that question and answer as a member of the Assembly. We think of ourselves as the upper house. Question 9. Name the most recently elected justice to the Wisconsin.
Platteville, 2.
Susan Crawford.
That is correct. The point goes to Team B. Question 10. What amendment to the U.S. Constitution has never been used in a Supreme Court decision?
Platteville, 3.
The Third Amendment.
That is correct. We have not had any Supreme Court decisions based on the amendment that prohibits quartering of soldiers in private homes without the owner's consent, much to many people's relief. The point goes to Team B. Question 11. Who was president of the U.S. during...
Platteville, 1.
FDR.
That is incorrect. Who was the president of the U.S. during World War I?
Middleton, 4.
Woodrow Wilson.
That is correct. The point goes to Team A. Question 12. In 1982, Wisconsin was the first state to outlaw what?
Platteville, 2.
Discrimination against sexual orientation.
That is correct. Discrimination based on sexual orientation was outlawed in Wisconsin in 1982. The point goes to Team B. Question 13. What was the name of the landmark Supreme Court case that ruled the racial segregation of...
Platteville, 2.
Brown v. Board.
Can you give me a full name?
Brown versus the Board of Education 1.
Correct. It was the Board of Education is what I was looking for there. So the point goes to Team B. Question 14. Where are public notices typically published in Wisconsin?
Middleton, 4.
Public libraries.
That is incorrect. Where are public notices typically published in Wisconsin?
Platteville, 1.
Newspapers.
Is that sufficient? Yep, that is correct. The point goes to Team B. It's in newspapers that are qualified as legal publications, but newspapers was sufficient. All right. Question 15. Pardon me. What are concurrent powers?
Platteville, 3.
Powers that are held by both the state and the federal government.
That is correct. The point goes to Team B. And that concludes round 3. I'll turn it over to our scorekeepers.
Okay, so at the end of this round, we have Middleton with 2 points and Platteville with 9 points.
Well done. Nice job, and we'll see you back for round 4.
Nice round. Good job.
Answer for questions. Okay, I didn't hear this. This is better.
Oh, yes, no problem. All right.
There's only one.
There's only one that made the finals. This is the other Blake Turners. Yeah. Right, because the others competed at regionals. All right. Welcome back. And congrats on making it into the 3rd and 4th rounds. And with that, we will go ahead and begin round 3 with our first question. What is the minimum number of signatures required for a state Senate candidate to appear on the ballot?
West Bend, 4.
100,000.
That is incorrect. What is the minimum number of signatures required for a state Senate candidate to appear on the ballot?
Beloit Turner, 1.
10,000.
That is also incorrect. The number is significantly lower. Ballot access is a pretty easy threshold in Wisconsin. A state Senate candidate is required to collect 400 signatures to be on the ballot. So you too could run for state Senate someday, once you're 18. All right, no point was awarded on question 1. Question 2, how many appeals court districts are located?
Beloit Turner, 1.
4.
That is correct. You're lucky I didn't ask how many were located in California. They are headquartered in Madison, Milwaukee, Waukesha, and Wausau. All right, the point went to Team B. And question 3, what is the oldest form of local government?
West Bend, 3.
County.
That is correct. County government is the oldest form of local government in Wisconsin. The point goes to Team A. Question 4. Who is the current U.S. Secretary of State?
West Bend 4.
That would be Marco Rubio.
That is correct, and it was going to be the Secretary of State that I asked about, and that is indeed Marco Rubio. The point goes to Team A. Question 5. Name 3 interstate highways in Wisconsin.
Beloit Turner 1.
I-39, I-43, and I-94.
Very good. The other 2 acceptable answers would have been I-41 and I-90. The point goes to Team B. Question 6. The Declaration of Independence includes a list of grievances against which historical figure?
West Bend 4.
That would be King George III.
That is correct. The point goes to Team A. Question 7. Name the 2 living former U.S. senators from Wisconsin.
Beloit Turner 1.
Blaine and Nelson.
That is incorrect. Name the 2 living former U.S. senators from Wisconsin.
West Bend 4.
Nelson and Thompson.
That is also incorrect. Thompson has not actually served as senator. Nelson would be delighted to come back to life and join us here. However, the correct answers to the 2 living former U.S. senators were Russ Feingold and Bob Caston. All right, no point was awarded on question 7. Question 8. What branch of the Wisconsin legislature is known as the lower house?
Beloit Turner 1.
The Assembly.
That is correct. I told the previous group that I take exception to that as a member of the Assembly, but I've learned to live with it. The point goes to Team B. Question 9. Name the most recently elected justice.
Beloit Turner 1.
Time. Name the most recently elected justice to the Wisconsin Supreme Court.
West Bend 4.
Susan Crawford.
That is correct. The point goes to Team A. Question 10. What amendment to the U.S. Constitution has never been used in a Supreme Court decision?
West Bend 4.
The 27th Amendment.
That is incorrect. What amendment to the U.S. Constitution has never been used in a Supreme Court decision?
Beloit Turner 4.
The 22nd.
That is also incorrect. The Third Amendment, because there has not yet been a case that hinged on prohibiting quartering of soldiers in private homes without the owner's consent. Should one of us wake up with some soldiers being quartered in our homes tomorrow, that could change. No point is awarded on question 10. Question 11. Who was president of the U.S. during
Beloit Turner 1.
Woodrow Wilson.
That is correct. Woodrow Wilson was president of the U.S. during World War I. The point goes to Team B. Question 12. In 1982, Wisconsin was the first state to outlaw what type of...
West Bend 4.
That would be discrimination based on sexual orientation.
That is correct. The point goes to Team A. Question 13. What was the name of the landmark Supreme Court case that ruled the racial segregation?
West Bend 4.
That would be Brown versus the Board of Education.
That is correct. That was the case that ruled racial segregation of schools to be unconstitutional. The point goes to Team A. Question 14. Where are public notices typically...
Beloit Turner 1.
The Town Hall.
That is incorrect. Where are public notices typically published in Wisconsin?
West Bend 1.
Would that be the newspaper?
That is correct. It is a newspaper, in a newspaper that's a qualified legal publication. So the point goes to Team A. Question 15. What are concurrent powers?
Beloit Turner 1.
Powers that are delegated to multiple parts of the government at the same time.
That is incorrect. What are concurrent powers?
West Bend 3.
Those would be powers given by the Constitution to both the federal and state governments.
That is correct. The point goes to Team A. And that was our final question. So with that, I'm going to ask our scorekeepers for an update.
Okay, so at the end of this round, we have West Bend 1 with 8 points and Beloit Turner with 4 points.
All right. Nice job to all of you, and we look forward to seeing you back in round 4.
Would their answer for concurrent not work? Because technically we can have different types of concurrent.
Thank you, judges.
Thank you, judges.
Thank you, judges. Municipalities, counties, and states as well. It doesn't necessarily have to be between just the state and federal government.
They said it will. They.
Between two different levels. Sure.
But that's one government. I would.
Yeah, it was not.
Okay, that's fine.
That's within one
That's
government.
If that was the clarifying.
Cool.
Thank you.
Yep, thanks for asking. Remember, they've come in now. That's the difference. I mean, to me, that is where the difference is. All right. Welcome back, teams. Glad to have you back. We are ready for round 3. Congratulations on making it to the 3rd and 4th rounds. And we are going to begin the round with question number 1. What is the minimum number of signatures required for a state Senate candidate to appear on the ballot?
West Bend 1.
1,000?
That is incorrect. What is the minimum number of signatures required for a state Senate candidate to appear on the ballot?
Belleville 3.
There is no requirement.
That is also incorrect. A state Senate candidate must collect 400 signatures to get their name on the ballot. So no point is awarded on question 1. Question 2. How many appeals court districts are located?
Belleville 3.
8.
That is incorrect. How many appeals court districts are located in Wisconsin?
West Bend 2.
1.
That is also incorrect. There are 4 appeals court districts, and their headquarters are in Madison, Milwaukee, Waukesha, and Wausau. No point is awarded on question 2. Question 3. What is the oldest form of local government in Wisconsin?
West Bend 1.
Tribal government?
That is incorrect. What is the oldest form of local government in Wisconsin?
Belleville 2.
Municipal?
That is actually incorrect also. The correct answer is county government is the oldest form of local government in the state. No point was awarded on question 3. Question 4. Who is the current U.S. Secretary of State?
West Bend 2.
Marco Rubio.
That is correct. The point goes to Team A. Question 5. Name 3 interstate highways in Wisconsin.
West Bend 2.
I-90, I-94, I-43.
That is correct. The other 2 acceptable answers would have included I-39 and I-41. The point goes to Team A. Question number 6. The Declaration of Independence includes a list of grievances against which historical figure?
Belleville 2.
King George.
Can you be more specific?
King George the Eighth.
That is incorrect. The Declaration of Independence...
King George III.
Oh, you have to wait to be called on. Do we just clarify if the answer is quickly?
I think so. I think
What was
let's.
the rule
All
on
right,
that?
we're gonna
We
check
need
the
to
rules.
determine whether we need to qualify that or not.
It's okay.
At least you know where.
Out of turn, that's out of turn. No, but you have to be out of turn. She wasn't out of turn. We did not give it that, but that was an out of turn. That was
that person would have been eligible. Right, this person.
No, but it's about being out of turn. She just hadn't been called yet, but it is her who buzzed in. This rule is specific to out of turn.
Well, but it's also specific to
No, it's if an ineligible respondent answers out of turn. So she didn't answer out of turn. It doesn't say if they're not eligible. It says if somebody's ineligible, responding out of turn.
So
I think we, I just want to double check when she was eligible.
yeah, she was eligible.
Yeah.
So accepted the way her fingers. Okay.
Yeah. We are going to accept the answer because the rules do not say that we can't accept it when you answer before you're called on. That said, we're going to ask the people, please, he's wagging his finger. I won't do that, but we do want to remind you to please wait until you're called upon. That also helps prevent the potential for somebody answering out of turn because sometimes you think you buzzed first, but somebody else did. So please do wait, but we will award the point to Team A because the rules do not state that you would not be able to accept that. All right. So that was question number 6, right? Yes, number 6. Now we'll have a few more grievances to air. And we will go on to question 7. Name the 2 living former U.S. senators from Wisconsin.
That's time.
All right. The 2 living U.S. senators, still living former U.S. senators from Wisconsin are Russ Feingold and Robert Kasten, or Bob Kasten. No point is awarded on question 7. Question 8. What branch of the Wisconsin legislature is known as the lower house?
Belleville 3.
The House of Representatives.
That is incorrect. What branch of the Wisconsin
West Bend 2.
The Assembly.
That is correct. It is the state assembly, and I'll crack my same joke about how I resent that as a member of the assembly. I know it's getting old for those of you who have heard it every single time.
I still appreciate it.
Great. As long as I can crack myself up, I'm happy. The point is awarded to Team A. Question 9. Name the most recently elected justice to the Wisconsin...
West Bend 2.
Tammy Baldwin.
That is incorrect. Question 9. Name the most recently elected justice to the Wisconsin Supreme Court.
Belleville 3.
Jill Crawford.
That is also incorrect. You got combined 2 justices. Susan Crawford is the most recently elected. Jill Karofsky is a current sitting member of the Wisconsin Supreme Court.
Or Jill Underley.
Yeah, it could be Underley too, yes, who we heard from earlier, but not on the Supreme Court.
Nope.
No point is awarded for question 9. Question 10. What amendment to the U.S. Constitution has never been used in a Supreme...
West Bend 1.
Third Amendment, quartering.
That is correct. There have been no riveting U.S. Supreme Court cases based on quartering soldiers in private homes without the owner's consent. The point goes to Team A. Question 11. Who was president of the U.S. during World War I?
West Bend 1.
Woodrow Wilson.
That is correct. Everybody's favorite president. The point goes to Team A. Question 12. In 1982, Wisconsin was the first state to outlaw what type of discrimination?
Belleville 3.
Sexual orientation.
That is correct. We were the first state to outlaw discrimination based on sexual orientation. The point goes to Team B. Question 13. What was the name of the landmark Supreme Court case that ruled the racial segregation of schools?
West Bend 2.
Brown v. Board of Education.
That is correct. The point goes to Team A. Question 14. Where are public notices typically published in Wisconsin?
West Bend 1.
On the website or
That-
the official website?
That is incorrect. Where are public notices typically published in Wisconsin?
Belleville 1.
City Hall.
That is also incorrect. The publishing of notices, while they are sometimes posted in a city hall, the publishing of notices is in newspapers that are qualified legal publications. No point is awarded on question 14. Sorry, Newspaper Association. Question 15. What are concurrent powers?
West Bend 2.
Powers shared by both the federal government and the state governments.
That is correct. The point goes to Team A. And that was our last question of round 3. So we will turn it over to our scorekeepers for an update.
Okay, so at the end of this round, we have West Bend 2 with 8 points and Belleville with 1 point.
All right. Congratulations to all of you. Nice job. We'll see you back in round 4.
Yeah, that was the end of round 3. So the final round for the state finals, round 4, matchup 1 will be Beloit, West Bend 2, and then Platteville, West Bend 1, Middleton versus Belleville. So Beloit will be Team A, and West Bend 2, you will be Team B.
So just this. Okay. Thank you.
And I got my legislators and...
I'm just gonna go one at a time, otherwise there's too much going on.
Oh, thank you. Sorry. Oh my gosh.
All right. Welcome back to the 2 teams for round 4. This will be our final rounds for the day, barring any tiebreakers that come forth afterward. This will be our final set of rounds. You are the first to embark in the round 4 questions. So with that, we will get started. Question 1. Earth Day was recently celebrated.
Beloit Turner 4.
Gaylord Nelson.
That is correct. I just wanted to read the rest of the question, make sure it wasn't the second part to it that I missed. Is Gaylord Nelson is a former governor and former U.S. senator, and who some of you on a previous question tried to bring back to life. The point goes to Team A. Question 2. Name 2 qualifications to become a U.S. senator.
West Bend 2.
30 years old and live in the state in which you're running to represent.
That is correct. You must be 30 years old. You must be a citizen of the state that you are going to represent. And you also must be a U.S. citizen for at least 9 years. So the point goes to Team B. Question 3. What is the term for a government with a 2-house legislature?
West Bend 2.
Bicameral.
That is correct. It is a bicameral legislature. Out of curiosity, not for points, anyone know which state does not have a bicameral?
Is it Louisiana?
Nebraska. Yep. So, just interesting piece of trivia, might be helpful next year for.
They're both the lower house and the higher house?
Yep, they're both. Yes, they get both distinctions. All right. Question 4. What clause in the 5th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution protects individuals from being tried twice?
Beloit Turner 4.
Double jeopardy.
That is correct. The Fifth Amendment to the U.S. Constitution has a clause that protects individuals from being tried twice for the same offense following an acquittal or conviction, or from receiving multiple punishments for the same offense. The point goes to Team A. Question 5. What constitutional principle requires the government to adhere to fair procedures and protect?
West Bend 1.
Due process.
That is correct. Due process requires government to adhere to fair procedures and protects individuals' legal rights. The point goes to Team B. Question 6. What was the significance of the 18th Amendment?
West Bend 2.
Direct election of senators.
That is incorrect. What was the significance of the 18th Amendment?
Beloit Turner 3.
It was temperance or the prohibition of alcohol.
That is correct. It effectively enacted prohibition, making it illegal to manufacture, sell, or transport what were then referred to as intoxicating beverages. The point goes to Team A. Question 7. What is the term for the government's power to take private property for...
Beloit Turner 4.
Eminent domain.
That is correct. Eminent domain enables government to take private property for public use, provided that just compensation is given. The point goes to Team A. Question 8. What was the significance of Marbury versus...
West Bend 2.
It established judicial review.
That is correct. Marbury versus Madison was decided in 1803 and established judicial review. The point goes to Team B. Question 9. Which 3 individuals authored the
Beloit Turner 4.
Hamilton, John Jay, and James Madison.
That is correct. The Federalist Papers were authored by Madison, Hamilton, and John Jay. The point goes to Team A. Question 10. What is the requirement for police to advise a suspect of their rights?
West Bend 1.
Miranda rights, which includes the right to an attorney, the right to fair...
You've covered it. You're good. It is the Miranda warning or the Miranda rights. Hopefully none of you will never need to hear them unless you go into a line of work that requires it. Sorry. The point goes to Team B. Question 11. What is the main responsibility of the executive branch?
Beloit Turner 4.
To enforce the law.
Yes, to enforce or carry out laws. The point goes to Team A. Question 12. How many amendments does the U.S.
Beloit Turner 4.
27.
That is correct. The U.S. Constitution currently has 27 amendments. The point goes to Team A. Question 13. Wisconsin Supreme Court recently upheld which unique power given to the governor for action?
West Bend 1.
Line item veto.
No, that's not technically correct.
I think...
Hold on.
Yeah.
I mean, they are, but they're dealing in a court decision. I see Eve, who helped write the questions.
We kind of feel like we feel like that's not correct.
It's not quite correct. Okay, and given the conversation that we just had in front of you, we are gonna ask a new question for the other team. But it is a partial veto, which is not, although they're often used interchangeably, they're not. What's that?
It is quite different.
Right. It's not, I mean, they're often just talked about interchangeably, but that's not actually what the decision upheld.
Are we allowed to buzz in on this new question that you're going to ask?
So only the team that did not answer is eligible, because we ruled that wrong, but because through our deliberations gave the answer, we are going to ask a replacement question.
Just right now? Right now? Like,
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
As soon as I turn the page.
All right, Danny, so you said it's used interchangeably?
On Wikipedia.
Yeah, so okay, sorry.
Yeah, it's not, I mean, the court,
I feel
the
like
thing
what's
is that,
controversial is that you can do these sort of Franken veto.
Yeah.
You can take and cut things, and that's more than a line. That's like
Right.
any fragment.
right, a line item veto is an example of a partial veto, but not all partial vetoes are line item
Yeah,
vetoes.
okay, so
Every line is numbered, and you can cross
That
out a line.
explanation,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's that, yes, I mean, it's not all partial vetoes are line item vetoes.
So I would say my vote would have been to accept it. And so if we have decided not to accept it, then the substitute question should be open to all of them if a majority of us agree that we would accept it. So I'd like to do a poll of the judges. I would accept it.
I feel like I shouldn't rule on this since I know these kids.
Well, it doesn't matter if you know the kids. You're objective to the whole thing, but.
Perhaps, I mean, maybe the thing is, if we're that much in disagreement, why don't we just scratch this?
Yeah, just scratch.
Just scratch it and sub it. Okay.
Okay.
And we'll just scratch it going forward since this is our first round of it.
Sure.
We are just going to do the replacement. We'll just do a replacement for this question. Oop, I have to mark it on here so I don't get, and we will, what's our first one there? All right, so we are replacing it with question 16, which is the first of our replacement questions for this round. All right, so we are going to ask the new question all together, start fresh, both teams can respond, and then we're actually just going to throw out that question in the future rounds as well. So, who was the first African-American Supreme?
Beloit Turner, 4.
Thurgood Marshall.
That is correct. Thurgood Marshall was the first African-American Supreme Court Justice. The point goes to Team A. Question 14. What is the procedure called when potential jurors are questioned to determine their fitness to serve on a jury?
Beloit Turner, 4.
A juror's interrogation.
That is incorrect. What is the procedure called when potential jurors are questioned to determine their fitness to serve on a jury?
West Bend, 1.
Jury interview?
That is also incorrect. You all must not watch as many courtroom dramas as I do, because I knew this was called voir dire, or to speak the
I have a
truth as
question.
it translates.
How do you spell that?
VOIRDIRE.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I'm not sure my pronunciation. The way they say it on Law and Order and other such shows is voir dire. But I believe it's is it a Latin term? It almost, it's not, anyway, I believe it's Latin, I don't know, but it means to speak the truth is what the translation is. All right, no point is awarded on question 14. Question 15. In the 119th Congress, name the current Speaker of the House.
West Bend, 2.
Mike Johnson, Republican.
I'm sorry.
Mike Johnson, Republican.
That is incorrect. In the 119th Congress, name the current Speaker of the House and Senate Majority Leader.
Beloit Turner, 4.
Speaker of the House is Mike Johnson and Senate Majority Leader is Thune.
That is correct. The point goes to Team A. And that is our last question for this round, so our scorekeepers can
What
take
about
it away.
question 16?
What?
Is there a question 16 for the replacement?
We already asked it. We literally subbed it, sorry.
No, thank you.
Thank you for checking though.
Okay, so at the end of this round, we have Beloit Turner with 9 points and West Bend 2 with 5 points.
All right, congratulations to all of you. And we'll see you back for the final results.
It was line item.
But what they up.
That's the power that
Yeah.
lets them.
So that was good.
Thank you, boys.
It's better to just, we don't have to debate it.
Yeah, we'll just.
But I agree with you. I agree. Right. Well, it's what the Supreme Court decision is. So that's what they have. All right, we had a heated debate about a question that we're not using. We threw it out in the first round, throwing it out going forward. But you came in on the tail end of that, and it's around the differences between line item and partial veto, and you all don't want to engage in that right now. So we will. You dodged the bullet on that question, thanks to the teams before you. So we're going to go ahead and start round 4. Congratulations on making it to round 3 and 4 again, and we will start with the first question. Question 1. Earth Day was recently set.
West Bend 1.
Is that me, right?
Mm-hmm.
Would that be Gaylord Nelson?
Indeed. Gaylord Nelson was the founder of Earth Day. So the point goes to Team B. Question 2. Name 2 qualifications to become a U.S. Senator.
West Bend 1.
Must reside in the state that they are running for Senate for and must be at least 30 years old.
That is correct. The third requirement that would have been acceptable is that they must have been a U.S. citizen for 9 years. The point goes to Team B. Question 3. What is the term for a government with a 2-house legislature?
West Bend 4.
Bicameral.
That is correct. Quick yes or no. Are there any states that don't have a bicameral?
Yes.
Nebraska does not have a bicameral legislature. They're the only state in the U.S. without one. All right. Question 4. What clause in the Fifth Amendment to the U.S. Constitution protects individuals from being tried twice?
Platteville 3.
Double jeopardy.
That is correct. Double jeopardy protects us from being tried twice for the same offense after being acquitted or convicted, and it keeps us from receiving multiple punishments for the same offense. The point goes to Team A. Question 5. What constitutional principle requires the government to adhere to fair procedure?
Platteville 4.
Due process.
That is correct. Due process requires the government to adhere to fair procedures and protects individuals' legal rights. The point goes to Team A. Question 6. What was the significance of the 18th Amendment?
West Bend 1.
It outlawed the sale of alcohol.
That is correct. It made it illegal to manufacture, sell, or transport beverages, effectively enacting prohibition. The point goes to Team B. Question 7. What is the term for government's power to take private property for...
West Bend 2.
Eminent domain.
That is correct. An eminent domain does give government the power to take private property for public use as long as just compensation is given. The point goes to Team B. Question 8. What was the significance of Marbury versus...
Platteville 4.
It established judicial review.
That is correct. That was Marbury versus Madison in 1803. The point goes to Team A. Question 9. Which 3 individuals authored the Federalist?
Platteville 4.
Madison, Alexander Hamilton, and John Jay.
That is correct. Those 3 individuals authored the Federalist Papers. The point goes to Team A. Question 10. What is the requirement for police to advise a suspect of their rights during...
Platteville 1.
Miranda rights?
That is correct. The police must advise suspects of their Miranda rights during arrest and interrogation. Did you...
No, sorry.
Okay. It was just an unintentional. Got it. All right. So the point went to Team A. Question 11. What is the main responsibility of the executive branch?
Platteville 2.
To enforce laws.
That is correct. To enforce or carry out the laws. The point goes to Team A. Question 12. How many amendments does it...
Platteville 3.
27.
That is correct. The U.S. Constitution currently has 27 amendments, and the point goes to Team A. Who was the first African American?
Platteville 4.
Ketanji Brown Jackson.
That is incorrect. Who was the first?
West Bend 2.
Thurgood Marshall.
That is correct. Thurgood Marshall was the first African American Supreme Court justice. Ketanji Brown Jackson was the first female African American justice. The point goes to Team B. All right. Question 14. What is the procedure called when potential jurors are questioned to determine?
West Bend 1.
Is that juror screening?
That is incorrect. What is the procedure called when potential jurors are questioned to determine their fitness to serve on a jury?
Platteville 1.
Judicial hearing.
That is also incorrect. Good guesses. But it's actually called voir dire, or it's a legal term that translates to speak the truth. If you watch more crime drama, legal drama, there was a whole show called Bull that was all about voir dire. It's a really, really good show. Look it up. All right. No point is awarded on question 14. Question 15. In the 119th Congress, name the current Speaker of the House and...
West Bend 1.
Would that be Mike Johnson? And then I'm guessing you're going to ask for the Senate Majority Leader, which is John Thune.
That is correct, and you guessed correctly on what was coming next. All right. So on that note, the point goes to Team B. That was our final question of the round, and for this group, assuming no ties at the end, the final question of the day. So I will turn it over to the scorekeepers to update us.
Okay, so we have 7 points for both Platteville and West Bend 1.
All right, nice job, y'all. Middleton, Belleville. Thank you all. All right, welcome back, Middleton and Belleville. This is our last round of the day, right? So barring any tiebreakers, this is officially the last of the last rounds for the day. We will go ahead and launch right into our round 4 questions. Question 1. Earth Day was recently celebrated across the United States. What former Wisconsin...
Middleton 3.
Gaylord Nelson.
That is correct. Former Governor and U.S. Senator Gaylord Nelson was the creator of Earth Day. The point goes to Team A. Question 2. Name 2 qualifications to become a U.S. Senator.
Middleton 3.
You must be 30 and you must live in the state which you represent.
That is correct. You also must have been a U.S. citizen for 9 years. The point goes to Team A. Question 3. What is the term for a government with a 2-house legislature?
Belleville 3.
Bicameral.
Yes, it is a bicameral legislature. There's only one state in the U.S. that does not have a bicameral. Any of you happen to know what it is?
Nebraska or Maine?
It is Nebraska. Nice job. No bonus points, but good to know that somebody knew it. All right. The point went to Team B. Question 4. What clause in the Fifth Amendment to the U.S. Constitution protects individuals from being tried twice for...
Middleton 3.
Double jeopardy. Double jeopardy.
That is correct. Double jeopardy protects individuals from being tried twice for the same offense following an acquittal or conviction, or from receiving multiple punishments for the same offense. The point goes to Team A. Question 5. What constitutional principle requires the government to adhere to fair procedures and protect individuals' legal rights?
Belleville 2.
The Equal Protection Clause?
That is incorrect. What constitutional principle requires the government to adhere to fair procedures and protects individuals' legal rights?
Middleton 3.
Good faith.
That is also incorrect. The correct answer was due process. No point is awarded on question 5. Question 6. What was the significance of the 18th Amendment?
Middleton 4.
It prohibited the sale of alcohol.
That is correct. It is the amendment that effectively enacted prohibition by making it illegal to manufacture, sell, or transport intoxicating beverages. The point went to, remind me which team? To Team A, sorry. Question 6, what was the significance of the 18th Amendment? Oh, whoops, I'm sorry. Question 7, my bad. I knew that sounded familiar. Question 7, what is the term for the government's power to take private property for public?
Middleton 3.
Eminent domain.
That is correct. Eminent domain makes it possible for government to take private property for public use as long as they receive just compensation. The point goes to Team A. Question 8. What was the significance of Marbury versus Madison?
Middleton 3.
It established judicial review.
That is correct, and it was decided in 1803. The point goes to Team A. Question 9. Which 3 individuals authored the federal...
Belleville 3.
John Jay, Alexander Hamilton, and James Madison.
That is correct. I'm glad to know that everybody has seen the Hamilton musical, so we all know that. The point goes to Team B. Question 10. What is the requirement for police to advise a suspect of their rights during...
Middleton 3.
Miranda rights against self-incrimination from the Fifth Amendment.
That is correct. It's the Miranda rights or Miranda warning as a requirement that they advise a suspect of the rights during arrest or during interrogation. The point goes to Team A. Question 11. What is the main responsibility of the executive branch?
Belleville 3.
To carry out the laws created by the legislative branch.
That is correct, to enforce or carry out the laws, and the point goes to Team B. Question 12. How many amendments does the U.S.
Belleville 3.
27.
That is correct. The U.S. Constitution currently has 27 amendments. The point goes to Team B. Question number 13. Who is the first African-American Supreme...
Middleton 3.
Thurgood Marshall.
That is correct. Thurgood Marshall was the first African-American Supreme Court Justice. The point goes to Team A. Question 14. What is the procedure called when potential jurors are questioned to determine their fit?
Middleton 4.
Jury selection.
That is incorrect. What is the procedure called when potential jurors are questioned to determine their fitness to serve on a jury?
Belleville 1.
Impartial jury.
That is also incorrect. And I think no team got that one right, but we heard lots of good guesses and creative answers. The correct answer is voir dire. And if you watch courtroom dramas, you'll hear more about it. I actually don't think I knew that from high school civics class, but I did know it from watching Law and Order. All right, so on that note, no point was awarded on question 14. Question 15. In the 119th Congress, name the current Speaker of...
Belleville 3.
Mike Johnson.
That is incorrect. In the 119th Congress, name the current Speaker of the House and Senate Majority Leader.
Middleton 3.
Mike Johnson and John Toon.
That is correct. The point goes to Team A. And that was our final question for this round. So I think the scorekeepers will give us an update on the points from this particular matchup, and then we'll have an update shortly of the overall once that's had a minute to be processed.
Okay, so at the end of this round, we have Middleton with 9 points and Belleville with 4 points.
Very nice job to all of you. And I think we're asking the folks just sit tight for a few minutes while we're going to be calculating scores. So sit tight and we'll determine whether we know the results or if we need to have any tiebreakers.
One tiebreaker.
There is going to be a tie. Yeah, we could just continue down this line. I don't think we should try. I think we should put it down because. I think we just work our way down and look at it. And then I think we
I don't know. This will be interesting. Nope.
That'll be interesting, but they might because they
Well, everybody is getting their money's worth because we have a tie for third place. So, West Bend number 2, you'll be Team A, and Beloit, you'll be Team B for third place. And you'll get one question. Just,
Thank you.
Yeah. And Representative Zubek will give a quick reminder. Good luck, everybody.
All right, I'm going to give you all a quick reminder of the procedures on the tiebreaker. So first off, only the captain can buzz the buzzer and give the answer. Who is the captain on each team? Okay, A1 and B1. And you are allowed to confer as a team only before your captain is buzzed in. Once you buzz in, you're expected to give an answer right away, and there can't be any more conferring. If you want to move closer, it looks like you already did, but if you want to move closer so that you're able to have that conversation if needed, you're able to do that. We will ask one question. If that question is answered correctly, the tiebreaker is over. If the question is answered incorrectly, the other team has the opportunity. I will reread the question and you will have up to 10 seconds to confer and buzz in. Again, once you buzz in, no more conferring. And if nobody answers the question correctly, we will then move on to another tiebreaker question until somebody has answered a question correctly. So with that, we're going to go ahead and get started. Any questions on how the tiebreaker works? All right, then we will go ahead and get started with our tiebreaker question. What amendment forbids the federal and state governments from imposing taxes on voters during...
West Bend 1.
2-4, no more. 24th Amendment poll tax.
All right, and you had the mnemonic device to remember it. I'm impressed. It is the 24th Amendment, which prohibits governments from imposing taxes on voters during federal elections. All right, congrats. Nice job to both teams and to all of our teams. And now we will have some announcements.
West Bend, wait.
West Bend.
Third place winners. Yes. Where'd they all go? Oh. Congratulations, West Bend, number 2, with third place in the state finals.
Oh, thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
There you go. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
There you go. Congratulations.
Aubrey, congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
I want to say there was one thing that happened just before these teams came on to compete with the other team. We saw an example not just of civic engagement, but of civil engagement as they shook hands with one another, as they came on to the podium, onto the stage. And that is something that many in our country could learn from all of you. Thank you very, very much.
Good sportsmanship.
All right, for second place, it was very close between first and second place. And second place will be West Bend number 1. So come up.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. We'll get one big group picture of you guys.
Congratulations.
Yeah, congratulations.
Congratulations.
Congrats.
Congratulations, Wyatt.
Thank you. Congratulations.
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 Thank you.
Get a picture of you guys. Yeah, congratulations. And the 2025 Wisconsin Civics Games state champion will be either the Packers or Platteville. Oh, no, go right ahead.
The Packers will follow in your footsteps.
Yes, there you go.
And head to a championship of their own.
The captain.
I'm not so sure.
Remind me who the captain of the team was?
In the back.
In the back. Okay.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
I like your jersey.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
That's my alma mater, Jordy Nelson.
Hey, congratulations.
Thank you. Congratulations, Ethan.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And to the captain of the team, the trophy.
Yeah, get your medal around. There you go. Congrats, guys.
Wait, hold up. Wait. Uncle Steve, you gotta give him
Anybody want to say anything?
Speech.
We're going to Disney World.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
It's almost the same.
Right.
Whoa. Oh. Where did you get that from?
Oh, all right.
Look at that.
Because you're number 1, you know. Packers won the first Super Bowl.
Put on your hand, Ben. Ben, put on your hand.
It's a glove. Hey, thanks.
And thank you again to everyone who was here today for all that it took for you to get here, to our wonderful judges, agreeing amicably, disagreeing, and all of us learning from what happened today. Let me remind you that starting in September, if you are still in high school, that you can enter the Wisconsin Civics Games editorial writing and editorial cartoon contest based on your view of the First Amendment, and you can start preparing for 2026 Wisconsin Civics Games. Thank you all.
watching a production of Wisconsin Eye, your unfiltered window into legislative deliberations and public policy programming, where our mission is to provide Wisconsinites an opportunity to access the legislative process and connect with conversations that inform our citizenry. Please consider supporting our mission, and thank you for watching. Wisconsin Eye, policy made public.